The Sinksenfoor is a giant fun fair in Belgium. Located in Antwerp, this is one of the country's largest fairs. In this video, I'll provide an in-depth review of this fair, sharing everything you need to know if you plan to visit. I will also cover some of my favorite rides that I encountered in my 2025 visit. The origins of this fair date back to the 13th century. The fair's name means a 50-day celebration. This is why the fair starts 50 days after Easter on Pentecost. It then runs for 5 weeks, so this typically covers a 1 to 2 week stretch in May and a good chunk of June. The fair has changed locations a few times, and for the past decade, it has been held at Spooroost, a decommissioned railroad yard. This is a slender but long plot of land, and I love the views of the city you get from the tallest attractions. This site is roughly 2 miles east of Antwerp city centre. If you are using theme parks as a reference, this fair is roughly 20 miles west of Bobbejaanland and 40 miles north of Walibi, Belgium. Due to this fair's location, it is extremely easy to access via public transit from within Antwerp. You can access the fair using city buses or trolleys. If you are arriving by car, I heard it could be a bit tricky to park near the fair. For that reason, it is recommended to use a park and ride station. I parked in Antwerp in Olympiad for just €1. I then had a 20-minute trolley ride to the fair for just €3. There were plenty of spots available in the evening on a weekday. I cannot speak to how many spots are available at the other times though. Anyway, this fair usually does not open until the late afternoon. It usually does not open until 4 p.m. It may open a bit earlier on weekends and holidays though, and then it stays open very late. It is open until at least 12 a.m. every single day. Then it could be open as late as 2 a.m. on Saturdays. I would recommend visiting the fair in the evening. Like many fairs, the atmosphere at night is electric. Almost every ride has a vibrant lighting package and booming music. Each attraction is designed to be a spectacle to draw you in. It will also have more comfortable weather. This is important because many fairs have minimal shade, so you do not want to be baking in the sun. I only visited this fair on a sunny day, but I am assuming this place operates like most European theme parks such that they are open rain or shine. I will note that some of the rides may close a bit earlier than the official closing time, and once that official closing time hits, it is lights off, so it's kind of eerie walking out at that point. There'll still be plenty of people, so it didn't feel unsafe or anything, just odd and ominous. The evening will also be busier, which is actually advantageous. Many funfair operators will hold a dispatch if it's too quiet because they want to maximize their profits. But with consistent crowds in an evening, dispatches should be much swifter. On a weeknight, nothing had to wait. I heard you may have to wait a cycle or two on weekends, but lines will still move quickly. Showmen know how to load these rides quickly to maximize throughput and profits. The operations are reminiscent of what you see in the German fair circuit if you've experienced a carnival there. Related to that, do not expect much in terms of pleasantries or friendliness. They just want to load their rides as quickly as possible, and they may even be smoking a cigarette while doing so. The main reason lines are short is because of the pricing structure. Since rides are owned by different showmen, there is no all-encompassing wristband. You must pay per ride. As of 2025 when I visited, most rides cost €4 to €8 each, so you may have to pick and choose what you want to experience. Otherwise, you could be spending a fortune. Then, as with most fairs, it is completely free to enter. As with most fairs, I would recommend bringing cash. If I recall, most showmen would accept credit cards, but not all of them. Now I will run through the ride lineup. This will reflect my experience in 2025, but several of these rides have popped up repeatedly over the years. The ride lineup far exceeds anything you'll get at a US carnival. Let's start with the roller coasters. Over the past decade, the fair has had 3 annually. The best coaster is a spinning Wild Mouse owned by Buffkins. This is a Reverchon model. The 2 largest drops have some zip. The double up offers 2 tiny pops of airtime. Then the second half features tons of spinning. And this one was upgraded to have smooth braking, which is not always a guarantee with this ride type. The other major coaster is usually a Galaxy Cyclone type coaster. The one I experienced was Tattoo. The drops in this one were enjoyable. But there were some janky moments in the pullouts, transition above the station, and especially the final break. I smashed my knee into the train and the ladder. The final coaster is a kiddie coaster. For the past 15 years, it has been Elliott, which is owned by Baudet. The Helix has some decent laterals by the end, but the ride is far more notable for the visuals. That Helix circles around a dragon. Then the backdrop is all sorts of cartoon characters that I am sure they totally have the rights to. And the flags could slap you in the face at a few points on the lift hill, which is kind of funny. The stars of the fair, though, are the flat rides. European showmen run their flat rides to the maximum, both in terms of their operating speeds and duration. Make sure you have a strong stomach if you ride any of these. Even the small and innocent ones may have cycles in excess of 5 to 6 minutes. Again, the showmen know they need to make their rides look as appealing as possible to get your cash. A main staple of this fair are the Pendulum rides. This fair has had almost every variant imaginable. Expect to see at least one frisbee, one booster, and one swinging ship. Again, I will highlight the ones I enjoyed and saw in 2025. XXL is a giant KMG frisbee. This one has great sustained lifter airtime on the max swings, and good G's on the down swings. The cycle is kind of strange though. After 2 to 3 max swings, it starts to slow down. Then, it speeds back up for 2 more max swings. This particular ride did the exact same thing when I rode it at Oktoberfest a few years ago. Rock and Roll is another frisbee style ride, specifically a technical park loop fighter. This one has some great airtime at the start, multiple slow rotations loaded with hang time, and solid positive G's in the downswings. Then, the seats unlock in the second half, making the experience absolute chaos. It is insane as you're yo-yoed about, being spun around and jerked towards the ground. Turbine is a jumbo booster from Mondial. This thing reaches hyper heights, so the views are breathtaking. The whole experience is trippy with the flipping and rotating gondola. Some flips had sustained floater airtime, sometimes while inverted, and the downswings always offered good positive Gs. Pirate Party at first appears to be an average swinging ship, but it features a stand-up cage on the far ends. So when you get weightlessness there, your whole body goes airborne because you have no restraints. This would be particularly terrifying if you time to jump. Something like this would never be legal in the United States, so it was really neat to experience one here. Then there are a bevy of spinning rides. One fairground staple is the breakdance. There's a traditional one. Then one variant I encountered in 2025 was Shaker. Built by Mondial, this ride adds an extra axis so the vehicles can invert. This one could not perform full flips, but I was repeatedly stalling upside down while the vehicle was whipped across the whole platform. I lost all sense of direction. There are a few other intense spinning rides I want to highlight from the 2025 event. Air Max is a crazy flat ride combining spinning and bouncing. I believe this is a smashing jump from Fabry. Because of the tight axis rotation, you spin comically fast. Combined with the fast motion and bouncing, there are many points where you're wildly ragdolled about. Move It is a rare inverting flat. Built by KMG, you sit in a gondola that rotates in a circle while also rotating 360 degrees. This is super disorienting and it produces some great hang time. Takeoff is a Huss flat. I had ridden one of these once before at Sark and Niemi and was very underwhelmed. Turns out that Finnish Park did not run the ride to its full potential. This is the dizziest I've ever come off an attraction. When all the platforms sync up, the spin rate is unreal. There also are plenty of observation rides. I highly recommend trying a large Ferris wheel. Seeing the city skyline and bustling fair is great. And the Royal Roo wheel that was present in 2025 uniquely allowed you to spin the gondola for either a better view or some thrills. Then it is also common to find a giant drop tower. Mission Impossible was the fair's tallest ride in 2025. Built by Funtime, it stands a staggering 279 feet or 85 meters tall. You have tons of time to take in the views, and there's quite a bit of suspense as the operators will tease you with fake countdowns. Then the drop is exhilarating. You get a brief stomach drop at the start, before floating the whole way down. There were a handful of fun houses and dark rides at the fair. I only tried one due to cost and time. I tried Terror Factory because it had multiple levels and had an impressive facade. I think this one also actually has a gravity-driven drop, so some may even classify this as a coaster credit. Most of the effects were pretty typical for a fair, but the finale featured a live employee that would directly interact with the car. Sometimes he'd smile, but at other points he'd whip out a chainsaw. Again, this is something you would never see in the US. Beyond that, the fair had a standard portable log flume and a few kiddie rides, but in general, I would say this fair leans more towards older kids and adults, especially with how intense many of the attractions are operated. What else does this fair have beyond the rides? Food. Lots and lots of food. This is a staple of any European fair. I only tried a few things, but my personal favorite was the giant potato twister. Anytime these things are freshly carved and fried, I love them. There also are plenty of games, but I did not try any of them. I was mostly there for the rides. Do I recommend this fair? If you're in the area, absolutely. It has such a lively atmosphere and plenty of wild flat rides. And if you're a coaster enthusiast on a road trip in the late May-June timeframe, check if this fair is in session. It is well worth a stop in the evening if you want some bonus coaster credits and crazy flat rides. Of the fairs I've been to, this is probably the best one I've experienced outside of Germany. The deep ride lineup and intense ride cycles are the main reasons, but the European fairs just have an energy that cannot be matched in the US. Those are my thoughts on the Sinksenfoor in Antwerp, Belgium. What are your thoughts on this fair? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.